So as everyone already knows, tens of thousands of emails have just been released by the Congressional Committee showing ties between Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. Ties that Donald Trump consistently, over and over and over again, kept saying didn't exist. Ties that were created and fabricated by the liberal, evil Democrats, that the Democrat is a Democratic hoax. Even though Trump and his cronies consistently and tirelessly campaigned on claiming that they were going to release the files, that they were going to find justice for the victims of these predators, he consistently and tirelessly said this over and over and over again, saying that Democrats have to be worried because their names are going to be all over the Epstein files, that these evil Democratic pedophilic elites need to be concerned because they're going to finally be caught out. Remember what J.D. Vance consistently said. Remember what he tweeted. Remember what he said on podcasts. This was one of the things that they consistently campaigned on over and over and over again. And now that Trump's in office, all of a sudden the Epstein files don't exist. There's no client list. There's nothing to see here. Are we still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? It's absolutely ridiculous that we're at this point where half the country can be easily manipulated into thinking that there's this evil pedophilic regime that needs to be taken down, regardless of what political side you affiliate with. But now all of a sudden, now that they won and their president is in power, they don't care who's on the Epstein files. They don't care who's a pedophilic elite. They don't care about any of these things. But things haven't been going well for Trump since, because Trump has consistently, over and over and over again, been caught lying about the Epstein files. Remember, when the Wall Street Journal reported that there was a birthday letter that they saw from Trump to Epstein, and they explained and detailed what that letter was, that it's a poem written by Trump in a very weird and creepily cryptic manner, and that it's within the figure of a woman, and that Donald Trump's signature was acting as the pubic hair of the body in question. Trump said over and over again that this was a lie, and he sued the Wall Street Journal for this. He sued a news publication for reporting on a story that he claimed was false, a story about him that he claimed was false. And what ended up happening? Well, the Congressional Committee subpoenaed the Epstein estate to release that birthday book, and well, what do you know? That birthday book ended up being real. Donald Trump just straight up sued the Wall Street Journal, a news publication, one of the biggest news publications in the world. And again, not even like a hardcore lefty news publication. The Wall Street Journal is center right. He sued them for reporting on a true story about him. If that's not infringing on freedom of speech, freedom of the press, then I don't know what is. And these newly released emails only continue to show just how much Donald Trump has lied in trying to cover up his own butt regarding the situation. It shows that Donald Trump's version of events is wildly different than the real version of events, or at least what we have evidence for. So let's go over some of these emails because, again, it's really crazy, and I feel like there's nothing that can really come out that'll destroy Donald Trump. A lot of people are saying that this might be the end of Donald Trump. I'm not convinced that it is. I feel like there could actually be literal videos released showing Donald Trump being complicit in all of these crimes, and his fan base will still find a way to cope with it and just try to wash it away because, again, we're talking about a fan base that defines itself based on what it hates rather than on what it stands for. If MAGA actually stood for freedom of speech, they would have dumped Trump already, or at the very least they would have heavily criticized him for all of the anti-free speech things that he's doing. But they're not. They're supporting him. If MAGA was legitimately anti-pedophilia, legitimately anti-corrupt elites, then they would have dumped Trump a long time ago. They probably should have dumped Trump on the first day he was in office when he did a crypto rug pull scam. They would have dumped Trump when Trump claimed that the Epstein client list didn't exist, that there's nothing to see here regarding the Epstein files, that why are we still talking about the Epstein files? There's nothing to see here. Let's just move on. They would have dumped him after all of that stuff was revealed. Let's look at some of the emails here. So this is from NBC. So it goes, emails released by the House Oversight Committee on Wednesday showed Jeffrey Epstein sounding off on Donald Trump, Bill Clinton, and more. The late sex offender was highly critical of Trump and said he knew about the girls but didn't directly accuse him of any wrongdoing. The emails also show Epstein saying Clinton had never been to his private island, despite Trump's claim to the contrary. Trump and Clinton have both denied any wrongdoing and have never been charged with any criminal activity. Epstein did not accuse Trump of any wrongdoing with the girls. Epstein disputes Trump's Mar-a-Lago account. And one of the things that we have to take into consideration is that when Jeffrey Epstein or Donald Trump are both giving their version of events regarding what happened, Jeffrey Epstein is detailing his version of events in private correspondence with people that he thinks won't leak these emails. He has less of a reason to lie about what actually happened. Meanwhile, Trump is giving public statements about about what happens, and he is running for president or was running for president and is currently the president. Trump has every reason to lie about what is happening. Jeffrey Epstein has much less of a reason to lie about what is happening because these are private correspondences. So if there's any conflicting information regarding what Trump said and what we see in these private emails, who do you think we should believe? Who do you think is more likely to be telling the truth? So here it says Epstein disputes Trump's Mar-a-Lago account. In an email to writer Michael Wolff, who interviewed Epstein numerous times for a book he was working on about Trump, Epstein denied Trump's account of having stripped him of his membership at the Mar-a-Lago Club for, quote, being a creep. Trump said he asked me to resign. Never a member ever, Epstein wrote. Of course he knew about the girls, as he asked Ghislaine to stop, the email continued, referring to one of his former girlfriend and accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, who recruited at least one of Epstein's victims, Virginia Giuffre, at the club. In another email that was sent to Wolff, Epstein said a woman whose name was redacted, quote, worked at Mar-a-Lago. Trump knew of it and came to my house many times during that period. The testimony of houseman John Alessi confirmed it. He never got a massage. So this is most likely in reference to the claims made that Epstein kept trying to poach employees from Donald Trump, from Mar-a-Lago. Most famously, of course, Virginia Giuffre, who did work at Mar-a-Lago, and she was poached, and this is most likely the victim that is being referenced in one of the emails. In an email sent to Maxwell in 2011, Epstein said Trump spent hours with someone the committee says was a victim. Maxwell is a convicted sex trafficker currently serving a 20-year prison sentence on charges that included conspiring to sex traffic minors in connection with Epstein. So again, a big reason why so many people believe that Trump is actually implicated in these Epstein files is precisely because, one, he's obviously doing everything that he can to prevent the release of these Epstein files, but two, look at his treatment of Ghislaine Maxwell. Remember that Todd Blanche, Trump's attorney general, had a private 9-hour meeting with Ghislaine Maxwell, a meeting where Ghislaine Maxwell claimed that Donald Trump did not do anything wrong, that he should be exonerated, everything's perfectly okay, a claim that Newsmax just completely ran with it. Yeah, the same people that said that apparently hanging out with pedophiles isn't that big of a deal.
She just might be a victim. She just might be. Granted, she hung out with Jeffrey Epstein, and I know that's apparently not good.
After Ghislaine Maxwell exonerated Trump, she went to a minimum security all-female prison where she's living a cushy, luxurious life, a place she shouldn't be in because she is a convicted child sex offender. That's a reality. That's a fact. She has no business being in this prison, but is conveniently there, living a luxurious life, relatively speaking, because she exonerated Trump. If that's not in the least bit suspicious to anybody out there, then I have a bridge to sell you guys. I want you to realize that dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Victim spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned, Epstein wrote. So Epstein here is surprised that no one has said anything about Trump yet. I've been thinking about that, Maxwell replied. The White House and Republicans on the House Oversight Committee said Wednesday that Giuffre's name was the one redacted in those emails. Giuffre, who died by this year, did not accuse Trump of any wrongdoing. And this is the one thing that MAGA is latching onto to try to hope, clutching their pearls, hoping that Donald Trump is somehow an innocent hero in all of this. But what we're looking for is a pattern of behavior. What we're looking for is what is most likely to be true based on multiple data points, not just one data point that conveniently conforms to what your preconceived notion of reality should be. And when we look at the pattern of what Donald Trump has done, what Donald Trump has said, what Donald Trump has said that turned out to be false, what Donald Trump is doing to make sure that the Epstein files aren't released, when you look at the pattern in its entirety, Trump looks guiltier than sin. Like, Jesus Christ, this is one of the most transparently obvious cover-ups in modern political history. But the idea that people are latching on to this one little tiny thing to try to prove that Donald Trump is, one, not only innocent, but two, like a hero of some sort, just goes to show you how politically and ideologically captured MAGA is. It is effectively a cult. Like, let's keep looking at some of the emails. Epstein said about Trump in 2018, quote, I am the one able to take him down. In a December 2018 text exchange with Epstein, someone whose name was redacted in the documents wrote, quote, I will all blow over. They're really just trying to take down Trump and doing whatever they can to do that. Yes, thanks, it's wild, because I am the one able to take him down, Epstein responded. While the exchange provides no context, it occurred during Trump's first term as president and roughly 6 months or so before FBI agents arrested Epstein in New Jersey on the federal sex trafficking charges. Let's take a look at this one. This one's interesting. Epstein says he was with Trump on Thanksgiving in 2017. During a November 2017 email chain with Epstein, Faith Cates, who co-founded a model agency, asked the financier where he was spending Thanksgiving. After a few exchanges, Cates asked, who else is down there? David Fizzle, Hansen, Trump. Epstein replied. That Thanksgiving was Trump's first as president. It also came months after Epstein's 2008 plea deal with then federal prosecutor Alex Acosta was pushed back into the spotlight after Trump nominated him to be labor secretary. In a separate November 2016 email exchange with Jenny Enterprise, the founder of a members-only club, Epstein said he spent that Thanksgiving in Palm with the Trump crowd. He didn't specify whether he actually spent it with the then president-elect himself at the time. So this person that Trump allegedly cut all ties with wanted nothing to do with him because he found out he was a creep. Well, this person apparently spent Thanksgiving with Donald Trump after Trump was already president. Twice. Again, not just once, but twice. Here's another weird email. Epstein says Trump walked into a glass door. New York Times financial reporter Landon Thomas Jr. wrote in an email to Epstein in December 2015 that people are coming to me thinking I have juicy info on you and Trump. In response, Epstein wrote, have them ask my houseman about Donald almost walking through the door, leaving his noseprint on the glass as young women were swimming in the pool, and he was so focused he walked straight into the door. We should also say these aren't young women. We know they're not young women. These are little girls. That's who Donald Trump apparently ran into a glass door for because he was salivating over them. Now you might be wondering, well, the evidence seems to be overwhelming that Trump, at the very least, we should be incredibly suspicious of Trump because again, there are many instances where Trump clearly lied about the Epstein files. And you have to ask yourself, what motive does Donald Trump have to lie about this? Why would Trump lie about any of these things if he truly is as innocent as he claims to be? Well, all you need to do is really look at Fox News because, again, remember that so many people are just in echo chambers. To the extent that they have any knowledge or information about the opposition, all of that is pretty much just funneled through them based on the content creators that they already listen to, conservative and Republican and MAGA content creators. So if all you listen to and all you read about are coming from Fox News or Tim Pool or whatever, then you're never really going to understand the full extent of the evidence that Donald Trump has sitting against him. And so let's take a look at this Fox News article, which perfectly encapsulates just why so many people in the MAGA crowd are unaware of what's going on. I've debated many people on the Epstein files, and every single one of them didn't even know about the Wall Street Journal fiasco where Donald Trump just straight up lied about what the Wall Street Journal was reporting on, and he sued them. And so let's take a look at this. This is the title that Fox News chose to run. Biographer urged Epstein to bash Trump for political cover in newly released emails. This is in reference to Michael Wolff. So Michael Wolff, famously very anti-Trumper, very huge hardcore never-Trumper, and so Donald Trump hates him. The MAGA crowd hates him. But remember, the focus here is Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the president of the United States. When you're analyzing a story like this, the main key players that we should be focusing on is probably the president of the United States and not some biographer that has a hard on for hating Trump 24/7. You can talk about that, sure, by all means, but in what universe do you think it's appropriate that the topic of conversation, what you want to drive all of your viewers towards, is just shitting on this one guy who hates Trump rather than the stuff that Donald Trump himself is actually allegedly complicit in doing or knowing? And I want to make it abundantly clear for the people who everything is just a political game to them. I don't care about Michael Wolff being innocent or guilty. I care in the sense that if he's guilty, he needs to freaking get locked up or whatever and be held accountable. But I don't care. I don't have any political allegiance to Wolff. I don't care. So yeah, these emails between him and Epstein are disturbing. Why does he have this link with Epstein? Why is he being so chummy and cordial with Epstein? Absolutely, he should be called out. But the idea that he should be the focus of the conversation, that he should be the focus of this article, you have to have Trump fellatio syndrome to somehow justify that. When asked by Epstein what he should say about his relationship with Trump, Wolff appeared to tell him to, quote, let him hang himself. If he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the house, then that gives you a valuable PR and political currency, another email reads. You can hang him in a way that potentially generates a positive benefit for you, or if it really looks like he could win, you could save him, generating a debt. Of course, it is possible that, when asked, he'll say Jeffrey is a great guy and has gotten a raw deal and is a victim of political correctness, which is to be outlawed in a Trump regime. In other words, Trump was at the house and on the plane, something that he has consistently denied. That should be the focal point, that the President of the United States lied about his connection to a convicted child sex trafficker, not that Michael Wolff told this sex trafficker that he should be bashing Trump. In what universe do you think that is appropriate? And let's look at some of the comments evidence to show just how effective this type of propaganda is. Like, let's take a look at this person, Unforgivable 195. Think, people, if there was one tiny smidgen of impropriety on the part of President Trump, the Biden administration would have gladly used it to ruin his 2024 chances. No, the fact remains 20 years ago, when it came to light what Epstein was, President Trump cut off all ties while Clinton and other Democrats began strengthening theirs. What an unforgivably stupid comment. First of all, there's this weird like scapegoat that they always turn to whenever trying to justify Trump's relationship with Epstein, saying, well, if Trump really did do horrible things with Epstein, then why didn't the Democrats release the files? I don't care. Release the files regardless. I don't care if there are any Democrats on the Epstein file list. Again, to the extent that I care, it's to the extent that I want justice for the victims of Jeffrey Epstein and his criminal co-conspirators. I don't care about protecting anyone that puts on a blue tie when they go to work. I don't care. I care about justice for these victims. And it's really telling that when people who consistently over and over and over again claimed that they also cared about justice for these victims, they conveniently don't, now that it's their political party, on the line. But the second and most obvious response to that is plain and simple. The Democrats didn't run on releasing the Epstein files. Remember how the whole Epstein files fiasco started. It started as a talking point for MAGA. It started as a campaign promise, effectively, for Donald Trump. Donald Trump ran on the Epstein files. Donald Trump ran on the idea that Washington is filled with all these evil, disgusting Democratic pedophilic elites. That's what he ran on. The Democrats didn't run on this. Why would the Democrats have any incentive of releasing these files? But again, that's just a response. That's not a defense of the Democrats. That's just a response, a possible explanation for why they didn't. But at the end of the day, I don't care. They're not in power anymore right now. If the Democrats were in power right now, I would say release the files. Who are you trying to hide and protect? But they're not in power right now. And I don't really care about looking back to criticize the Democrats for doing something that they never claimed they wanted to do in the first place. I'm criticizing the current administration that did claim to care about these files, that did make claims about these files containing information on pedophilic elites, and now they are refusing to release them. Now that we know that Trump is implicated in these files, that's what I care about. If these files do come out and some Democratic elites are on them, cool, good, lock them up, hold them accountable. That's what I truly care about. I don't care about playing this political game, but MAGA does, and you can see from this article on Fox News exactly why. They are just effectively state-run media at this point. Like, I like this person. Look at Samui. I don't care whose reputations are damaged, upheld, questioned, or should face more legal scrutiny. Just give the whole stash of documents and evidence against Epstein so Americans can make up their own minds. Dems, Republicans, business leaders, rich, powerful, foreign, and domestic, and their interactions with Epstein and his stable of girls. Embarrassment is no reason to hide the information. This has gone on way too long. Too many people protecting other people. We don't care about convictions. We care about knowing the truth. Yes, exactly. Who cares who's on these files? Release all of them and hold everyone who is complicit in this accountable. This falls squarely on MAGA and Trump. Why? Because they're the ones that ran on this. They're the ones that campaigned on this and made the claims about what's inside the Epstein files. And now they are the ones that, after making these claims and getting nominated, getting elected, now they're refusing to release them. And with all of the leaks that have come out, we have great reason to believe that it's precisely because Trump is implicated in these files. And the public deserves to know whether or not they've been swindled by Donald Trump, by the MAGA administration, into voting for someone who is complicit in these heinous, disgusting crimes. Crimes that Donald Trump is now telling all of his audience, all of his fans, to move on from. There's nothing to see here.